evening, and welcome to SoCal Prep Report. I'm your host, Randy Roosevelt. Do you know how lucky you are? You're sitting right in the middle of a high school basketball dynasty. I know the Chiefs might have a dynasty. Yesteryear, the Steelers and Cowboys, the Lakers and Celtics. But how about Corona Centennial's dynasty in prep basketball? They just won their third consecutive Southern Section Open title, this time in dramatic fashion. So congratulations to Corona Centennial, and congratulations to you at home. You get to enjoy a dynasty. With that in mind, we bring in Tarek Fatal of the Daily News, my cohort on the program. Tarek, it's been unbelievable what we've seen from Corona Centennial.
I've always said Southern California is the hotbed, maybe the best high school basketball talent in the country, and for Corona Centennial to be at the top of that mountain for 3 straight years tells you how great of a program they've built under Coach Josh Giles.
And we're going to meet Josh Giles in a little bit, but hey, it wasn't easy winning the C.I.F. Southern Section title. St. John Bosco took them right down to the wire, and if it wasn't for one magnificent play, perhaps the dynasty would have ended.
Hey, you know, they say great players make great plays, and they needed one from Aaron McBride in the final moments, and it was storybook. You know, you might see movies that like, oh, you know, what a great finish and a dunk at the buzzer, and you roll your eyes, you're like, yeah, uh-huh. But that's really what happened at the Hana Center, and I'm sure we'll get a clip of that here playing soon.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable play. The read, the defensive read by McBride made the play, and obviously how much ground he covered was amazing.
I think that's probably what's more impressive. The tip out, right, to stay engaged defensively and to tip it out and then be able to run down the ball and take one dribble and then sky for the basket and throw it down. I think he got fouled too. It's all moot. They're crowned champions, and now they're on to the state playoffs.
Yeah, 58-56 in that one. How about Mater Dei? They win Division I. Now, they were down in this game. The Monarchs playing Etiwanda, but they rallied to win it, 66-53. Zach Davidson, 27 points in the winning effort for the Monarchs. And what I like here, that's 24 CIF championships for the legendary Gary McKnight.
Gary McKnight's one of the legends, that's for sure. And I'd be willing to bet, and I haven't spoken to him, and this is kind of speculation, but if you had to ask him, I did see him when they played Heritage Christian in the Valley, and I talked with Gary McKnight after that game. They obviously won, and I said, Gary, what's different about this team? And he said, they're so young, and I know it's not the Open, but it's a different set of challenges, because in the Open, you get a guaranteed amount of games. In Division I, you lose, you go home. So for his young team to kind of survive and advance and end up winning a CIF crown, there's something probably a little more special about that team for Gary McKnight.
And they're still going on in the state, and we'll talk about that later in the program. All right, let's turn our attention to the City Open Division. Taft and Fairfax at Pasadena City College. The Toreadors win it 64-62. That's the 4th championship for head coach Derek Taylor.
Yeah, I believe it's the 6th for the program, and Derek Taylor, the long wait for a city title, hadn't won one since 2011. I know he was super excited to grab a hold of that plaque, and one of the San Fernando Valley's best high school coaches. Here it is. He's won 500. He's got 500 wins, Randy, and so this one, I know when he grabbed all, you could see his eyes. Oh, I know this one feels good. He lifts it, and the Toreadors are Open Division champs.
Yeah, that was sweet. Most people at the arena thought Fairfax would win this game after knocking out Birmingham in the semifinals. Did that result surprise you?
Not necessarily surprised me as much as I kind of gave Fairfax the edge. I'll give you that. Could anybody have won that game? Yes. I think Taft is kind of known for this helter-skelter, little undisciplined turnover city type ball, but they made the right plays and made the key ones down the stretch.
But there might be a dynasty brewing in D1 in the city. The Grant Lancers from the East Valley, the Lancers over the Venice Gondoliers. The other Tarek, although he doesn't pronounce it Tarek.
Right.
What's it called?
Tariq Abdul-Masih. Yeah,
but it's spelled the same as yours.
Yeah.
He's got it going. That's 2 in a row in this division.
Yeah, I think that's what I asked him after they won the championship. I asked, hey, what's sweeter, the first one in program history or the repeat? Himself, along with his best player, DJ Gaines, who scored 29 points in that game, said, oh, the repeat's sweeter, because it's the one time, maybe lightning in a bottle, but that second time, you're a perennial city section program, and so good for Grant.
We knew DJ Gaines was a good player, but in the tournament and in the state, he's even better.
They got a big game against Valencia, and we'll see if they win that one. That one's actually tonight. But, they're still going. They're still playing. And the Lancers, that's the one thing they haven't gotten. They haven't gotten to the C.I.F title, so maybe that's next.
You know who's still going and still playing? Corona Centennial is still going. They're always going. And we want to talk to their head coach. We'll get to these girls' scores a little bit later, but we want to talk to Josh Giles at Corona Centennial. He seems to win championships every year. And it wasn't all that long ago, Tarek, when he would get to the tournament and he'd run into some powerful teams and couldn't get over the hump. But that's certainly changed as we bring the coach in now. Coach, congratulations. 3 in a row. Do you agree? It's a dynasty?
I don't know if it's a dynasty just yet, but I think it's been really special the last 3 years, and we talk about it a lot, and I've said it in a lot of these interviews. You don't always necessarily need the best players, but you need the right ones, and kind of what you were just alluding to right there. We had a stretch there where we would get deep into the playoffs, and then there were certain teams we just couldn't beat. There was a couple years Sierra Canyon was just better. Mater Dei was just better. Chino Hills, they had their run and they were just better than us. And so it was always kind of like we were, the third or fourth best team in Southern California. And now these last couple years to kind of make that step to where we've been able to come through in those games it's been awesome because, it was a good 8-9 years there where you're just banging your head up against the wall and you're just coming up short. You just weren't quite good enough.
I can't remember a senior class that's meant so much to a program. You got Jared McCain, he's going to Duke. Devin Williams, who's going to UCLA. And, of course, the star of the team, your heart and soul, Aaron McBride, who's going to Loyola. What has that senior group meant to the program and to you personally?
They're just winners. And I think that is the greatest compliment you can give to any athlete, basketball, whatever the sport is. I'm a firm believer in that winning is a skill, and they have it, and they understand how to win a game. And, it kind of started when they were freshmen. We had a great senior leader with Paris Dawson. And that group had some seniors on it as well with some other guys that have moved on to college with Freddie Dabala and Mason Machado. They were just great senior leaders. They just worked hard and they did things right. And then when they became sophomores, we had Donovan Watkins, Anthony People. So we had 2 seniors again that were just good leaders and they did everything right. And then last year with Donovan Dent and Ramsey Huff, we just have seemed to have these seniors that have come in and they've just really bought into doing things right. And I put a lot of emphasis on seniors and senior leadership, and they've been great at it. And now the one consistent though has been these guys. And I put BJ Taylor in that mix as well with those other seniors, and they've just been, their approach every day. They come to work, they play hard, and I think what truly separates them from most high school athletes in general is they really don't care about individual success. They truly put team success first. And I think that's kind of rare, especially nowadays.
Josh, you talked about that 4 or 5 year stretch where you were kind of banging your head up against the wall, and now you're the team everyone is hunting. I don't know if you're capable or anyone is. Can you explain what's more challenging, breaking through to kind of get those wins that you've always needed, or staying at the top? What has been more challenging for you?
That's an awesome question. And I think this year it's been staying at the top. I think this year it's definitely been that. I would never say that the guys were bored or anything like that, because I think that could be misconstrued as people taking it as we think we're too good. And it hasn't been that, but there's been some times where it's almost been a kind of we've been there, done that type feel. And I think, when you're the third or fourth best team, you're still really, really good. You're just not as good as some of the other teams that, I gave examples of some of those teams that we weren't able to beat there for that stretch. Well, now we don't get to be anonymous. We don't just get to show up and, teams are who are we playing? Teams know when they're playing us. And we have a gigantic, X on our chest, and everybody wants to dethrone us, and as they should. I mean, if the roles were reversed, we'd be talking about it. And so just having to understand and to respect that you're not going to get anybody's C+ effort. Every time we play, we're getting somebody's A1 effort, and you have to be, you have to be prepared for that. And I don't know if we've always been able to do that this year. So I would say definitely, it was so hard to finally get here, and then we won one, and then to be able to back it up last year, and now to keep it going through this year, it's definitely harder trying to stay at the top.
You don't know this, but you startled me last year by a response you gave me. Most coaches are concerned about parents and how they get involved. But you told me last year it was the parents at Corona Centennial that were critical for you guys winning. Why are the parents at Corona Centennial so good to the program?
Again, I think it goes back to having the right players. And since we have the right players, I think that comes from somewhere, and I think for us, we've been very fortunate that we have over the last 3 or 4 years, we've had a collection of parents at the varsity level, especially, that they have bought in to the success of the program as well. And I'm not fielding some of these calls that you hear from other coaches where it's like, well, my son needs to score this, or he needs to shoot this many times, or he needs to play that. Like, I'm truly left alone, my staff and I, and we coach basketball, and we work as hard as we possibly can to put the kids in a position of success. But I think so many teams are torn apart at the dinner table. You know what I mean? And so I think that we've been very fortunate that we've had a group of parents that just buys into the success of the team. And it doesn't matter who gets, the praise and things like that. It's just, did we win? And they seriously root for other people's kids just like they would root for their own. And I think it's a rare situation, and I hope we can hold on to it for as long as possible. But I would say that more than anything has kind of helped us along the way, because the parents have been awesome. They've been supportive. This year we traveled 29,000 miles. And it was like, hey, we're going all over the place. We're going to go try to play in these events. And, there was no pushback. There's none of that. And it's just, I feel like they understand that we're doing our best to try to put together a team that can compete with anybody, anytime, anywhere. And they've kind of just let us do that. And it's been awesome, because you hear the horror stories from other people. And, I have friends in the coaching program, and they talk about it. And it's like, we're very fortunate that we haven't had to deal with any of that.
Josh, my last question for you is a little bit more off the court. It's about Jared McCain, who, I got to ask you, he's obviously a tremendous basketball player. Seen him play plenty of times, but he's kind of a star in his own right off the court. We all kind of know it. He does the TikTok stuff, and he's kind of turned into this social media mogul. I think he's maybe one of the first athletes I would say is like kind of breaking through the high school era of NIL athlete, right? Can you kind of talk about how that becomes even more of a balance for a head coach? I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's certainly something you got to keep your eye on.
Yeah, for sure. And there's been some discussions that we've had, whether it be with Jared and I, or with his parents, where it's discussions that I never thought we'd ever have. And it's like, you have to be mindful if there's changes to the schedule, that he might have something already lined up, and where he's going to go do something, and you mentioned NIL, and it's significant, and you can't be like, well, you can't go to that. It's so
right.
You have to be that part of it has been unique. And I think there's two other main parts, is that he does get mobbed a lot of the places that we go. And there's been a couple times this year, I'd say 2 to 3 times this year, where it was sketchy, like the amount of people that just kind of swarmed around him. So traveling with security, when we've played in all these events, we've had to have security with us, or basically one of the admins from our school, or we travel with one of the school security officers, and we've had to have them. So like our principal, our AD, they've been traveling with us a lot this year, because we need somebody that just focuses on him, because we have 14 other kids on the team. I can't just leave them and all the coaches just focus on Jared. So like, it's been great, because admin will take him and deal with the, circus that surrounds him, and then we can get the other kids where they need to go. And I think that if it was any other kid, it could be an issue, like, because I've been asked, like, oh, are people jealous of him and things like that. Jared is such a great teammate that it works because of who he is. If that makes sense. He's unselfish. He had unbelievable gifts for all the guys this year at Christmas time. Like, he had boxes for everybody. I mean, he spent a lot of money on it out of his own pocket on his teammates. So I mean, buying them Jordans and things like that, and buying the guys sweat outfits and things. So he was really generous to his teammates, and I just think that his unselfishness and the person that he is, everybody knows he's a great player. He's a better person than he'll ever be a basketball player, and I think that speaks volumes to, like, his character and stuff. So I think if it was anybody else, it could be an issue, but because it's Jared and how unselfish he is and what kind of teammate he is, it works.
Well, you've been generous with your time. We appreciate you coming in. Congratulations, 29-3. 19 straight, 3 to go for another state championship. You already have the open division in the C.I.F. Southern section. Coach, best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, Josh Giles, what a program he has.
It's going to be exciting to see how they do the rest of the way. I'm already booked for Sacramento, so if they can get there, I'll be able to maybe watch them lift another C.I.F. state crown.
Very possible. And when we come back, we'll have our look at the girls' games. But first, let's check in with our friends from Pacific Surfliner.
Southern California has always been a land of discovery. From historic gems to iconic beaches to top attractions. Let the Amtrak Pacific Surfliner be part of your journey as you explore more of the place we call home. Reconnect with the communities you love most, with the people you love most. Isn't it time you rediscovered Southern California?
No doubt about it. Josh Giles has got a dynasty going on at Corona Centennial. You got to admit it. 3 in a row, maybe another state crown. We'll see. All right, let's talk about the ladies. We know one team, speaking of dynasties, we should have thrown Sierra Canyon's girls basketball team into the mix. They won the open division. They took out Etiwanda by double digits. This is no surprise. They're 30-0. Juju Watkins goes for 24 points and 11 rebounds. That's a very good Etiwanda team, but they lost by double digits.
The #1 team in the country. I mean, that's not just the #1 team in the state. Sierra Canyon girls, I think they're on a collision course with whichever team wins the North is going to have to take on Sierra Canyon in the state title game. I think the Trailblazers are a shoo-in for that.
Yeah, but they got some tough games. They're going to have to play Modern Day coming up, and they could have a date with La Jolla Country Day or Etiwanda again, so those are not going to be easy games. All right, Orange Lutheran in D1 over Marlboro. Here's a Trinity League team dropping down a notch, beating a good Marlboro team out of the Mission League.
Yeah, we know your thoughts on the Mission League.
I'm not going to pick on the Mission League.
No, yeah, Six Johnson does a great job over at Marlboro. Good guy and has a good program, and just came up short. I don't know how many times Marlboro's ever been in a CIF title game. It might be their first, maybe second all time. So great accomplishment for that program.
Now, what game did we argue about all season long that we knew was coming in girls basketball? And I said one side would win. You went with the other side.
Yeah.
Wasn't that Westchester Granada?
Go ahead.
No, Granada.
You've got your time.
Program.
You've got your time.
Hey, they won at 51-44.
It was a good game. I think Westchester just had a little more, and that's that. Dominic Grimes. I know that he was talking. We got a clip of him lifting the city crown. He actually was talking about how the team, it was an easy motivation for the team. They lost to Birmingham in the open final last year, and he thought, no, we're going after this one this year. So there he is getting it, big hugs, and so Westchester is now the open city champs.
He also has Mariah with him.
Oh, man.
She can flat out play.
Mariah Blake, correct.
20 points, 19 rebounds. She had 20 and 20 against Granada last year when they knocked them out. They knocked out Granada Hills the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I know the Highlanders are probably licking their wounds on that, but hey, you got to tip your cap off to the Comets.
Maybe the best story of the week, though, might have been the Poly Parrots.
I'm with you on
from
this.
Sun Valley.
I am with you on this.
In overtime, beating Lasis 67-64. Hannah had heart, but she really didn't have her partner, Hart. her sister. Her twin sister was suspended for the game.
That's right.
Hannah scores 35. She fouls out, and they still win it in overtime without her.
She was almost unguardable, Hannah Lysing, and she's only a junior. She literally couldn't get guarded. When she's receiving that plaque right there on that video, they're yelling, they're chanting, MVP, MVP. It was quite the performance from her. I think she got to the free throw line 19 times. That tells you no one can guard you. In fact, they have to foul you. She made 15 free throws. She had a stretch in the game. She scored 12 straight points. She was dominating, and she did enough to let Polly win that title. First title ever, by the way.
First title ever, and really a great job there by Tramika Batiste, winning the championship. Congratulations to you, Coach. All right, let's talk about some of the games that were earlier this week that were played in the state. You're going to see a lot of familiar names that we went through. We'll start with Sierra Canyon over Taft. There it is, 84-47, a rout.
I was at that game. It's so funny. I've been to so many Sierra Canyon home games, and the first quarter for the opponent is always the best quarter they've ever played. They come out guns a-blazing, threes are falling through. Why? Because anytime someone comes to town and plays Sierra Canyon in their gym, they're a little more amped up. So that first quarter is always close, and then Sierra Canyon just ran away with it.
Notre Dame Sherman Oaks, not a surprise that they won, and they won by a healthy margin. They have 3 D1 guys in the starting lineup at Notre Dame that are great. Fairfax battled them, though, for a while.
Yeah, it actually, that was another game that I think was only, I want to say, single digits at halftime. And then, of course, you got Caleb Foster going to Duke and Dusty Stromer going to Gonzaga, and just too much talent.
Mater Dei, with that young team in D1 in the state over La Costa Canyon of San Diego. Mater Dei trailed all throughout this game, caught them at the end, and beat them in overtime.
Yeah, pretty remarkable story, and again, just goes to the grit of that Mater Dei Monarchs team and Gary McKnight, and again, I think this is probably one of his favorite teams he's ever coached.
Yeah, 24 C.I.F. Southern Section championships for McKnight. He's the winningest coach in the history of California basketball. This one in the lower division was a shocker. King Drew 73, Anaheim Canyon 65. That was 1 against 16. King Drew was the 16.
It's a funny, quick little story on that. Steve Fryer from the OC Register is a colleague of mine, and he was at that game, and he was looking for King Drew's rosters because they're not on Max Preps. So he emails me and goes, hey, you got rosters? I found him rosters. Lo and behold, King Drew goes on to win that game. It's just funny.
Yeah, Anaheim Canyon was the #1 seeded team in that division. How about Pacific Christian over Birmingham? Patriots, not a great ending to the season. They had a terrific year, but they lose in the semis of the city, and then they get beat in the state.
All I'm going to say is keep a lookout for Caleb Newton, probably one of the best freshmen in Southern California for Birmingham, and I think he's likely to be an all-area type all-city player for the next 3 years.
Yeah, I know Nick Halleck, his coach, just loves him, and he had one game in the playoffs where he exploded for better than 20 points. Let's turn our attention to the girls. Chaminade, there you go, out of the Mission League, over Ontario Christian, 88-65.
That was a 16-over-1. I don't know if you knew that. Ontario Christian was an open division team that got dropped down to Division I, so Chaminade goes on the road.
We're here for shockers.
Yeah, Chaminade goes on the road and wins that game, and they're on to they're still alive, survive in advance, as they say.
Now Westchester led Orange Lutheran all night long, playing at home. You think they're going to get through it, and didn't. As you can see, Olu beat them.
The C.I.F. state playoffs are an interesting roll of the dice because what happens is all these athletes, they get so jacked up for the section final, and then it's like, wait, there's more games to play, so there's this lull. You're so high, and then you kind of come back down to earth, and the question is, can you get back up for those state playoff games? And sometimes that's why you see these upsets.
But Tarek got revenge. Granada Hills goes into the state after losing in their section and beats Bishop Montgomery by a deuce.
Yeah, it goes on the road. That's a really nice win right there for the Highlanders, so we'll see if they can keep it going.
Speaking of nice, we were able somehow to find Howie Levine and some video from the former Grant coach. Now, we just noted that Grant won back-to-back championships. Well, their greatest player that's ever played at Grant is Gilbert Arenas. And somehow, we've been able to conjure up some video. I haven't seen this. So when you see it, it's going to be my first look and Tarek's first look. So, Larry, swing it into action. Let's see what we got with this Gilbert Arenas video.
Oh, my
word. It could be a little quirky, huh?
Oh, that's grainy.
Well, it's old school. Well, that's Gilbert Arenas, who went on to the NBA fame, averaged over 20 a game, 3-time NBA All-Star, 3 times NBA All-NBA. Just a great career, over 20 a game in his career.
Yeah, Gilbert Arenas ended up making, he was, imagine what kind of contract Gilbert Arenas would get these days. But he was like before his time, making $100 million contracts well before they were even a thing.
And why is he relevant right now?
Because of his son.
Grant, his son and daughter.
Oh, right. No, you're right. Azella Arenas. Yeah, the point guard for Sierra Canyon, only
she's
a junior.
Scoring big over there.
Yeah,
too.
she's really, really good. She's an integral part of that team.
And what about the son?
Yeah, Elijah Arenas. He's capable of scoring like 40 points in a game. I don't know how much longer he'll be at Chatsworth, but he certainly knows how to score.
Well, he's going right to the pros or what?
No, I just don't think he's going to be there that much longer. He'll probably transfer schools. That's what I think.
All right, we got some key games coming up this weekend. Let's start with Harvard-Westlake at St. John Bosco. Obviously, two teams with terrific records, as you can see. The Wolverines, for much of the year, were #1 ranked in the state. Didn't get it done in the tournament. Here's a chance for them to get a little revenge of their own.
Revenge is exactly what it is. St. John Bosco is the reason Harvard-Westlake didn't advance to the Open Division final, and so I just don't. Now that game is in Bellflower, where the first game when St. John Bosco won was in Studio City, so that'll be an interesting rematch.
How about the next one? I like the next one. This is a good game. St. Augustine's got a lot of good guards. They're out of the San Diego area. Not going to be easy for Corona Centennial.
They just knocked off West Ranch. Very talented team. So you know that they're capable. And when I was at the Hoop Hall Classic in Massachusetts, Corona Centennial was there, and so was St. Augustine. So it's going to be a really, really very capable team that's also been traveling around is what I'm trying to get at. It'll be a great game.
On the girls' side, Etiwanda and La Jolla Country Day. It's a rematch. Team from San Diego. The Tories beat the Eagles the first time.
I think I like La Jolla Country Day to win that game. They got some really good players, and I just don't see them. And not that I don't see them losing, because Etiwanda's capable, but I guess what I'm trying to get at is whoever wins that game, I don't see any of those teams beating Sierra Canyon. La Jolla Country Day already lost to Sierra Canyon this year.
So you don't think Mater Dei has a chance?
Yeah, do they have a chance? Of course. I'm gonna lean heavy that it's gonna be one of these teams playing Sierra Canyon again.
Mater Dei and Sierra Canyon's the other big girls game coming up. Mater Dei's had a heck of a year. I mean, 30-0 is 30-0, but 29-3 isn't shabby.
No question. But Sierra Canyon's literally traveled the country playing some of the best talent and unscathed.
But all this takes a back seat. You know what the biggest news of the week is? Not that the dynasty continues at Corona Centennial.
The Fattel name.
The baby reveal. Sports Central. Tarek's part of that program with Jim Hill. We got to see the baby reveal one more time. Is it a girl? Is it a boy?
Let's just talk about this moment for both of you as a couple, and I know you've been waiting for this for a while.
Yeah, it's really special, I think, especially as Tarek mentioned. I'm from the East Coast. All of my family's out there, so to be able to do it on camera where our families can both be a part of it regardless of where they are. But just the fact that they're able to join us in this moment, friends and family from all over. When we find out for our first child, it's been a pretty difficult year, so we're really excited, and it just makes this moment that much more special.
I hear the drum roll. You know what that means? It's going to be...
I don't know. It's a girl. Wow! Look at the fam on camera. Look at that! Look at that! Wow.
That is absolutely incredible.
That's amazing.
You know what? You two were beaming before. You're beaming even more so now.
Bree really wanted it to be a girl. Bree gets the W for today, that's for sure. I'm thrilled, I'm excited, can't wait, and thank you so much for the opportunity. Yeah, thank you very much. We're really excited. The baby's due in June, and that's about it, man. I mean, world's gonna get turned upside down. Really looking forward to it, really, to be honest.
I got the name, Foul Fatale, because every time this girl, and it's gonna be a great star who probably ends up at Sierra Canyon, is gonna come across the timeline. The other coaches gonna yell out, "Fowler, we can't stop her!"
Yeah.
Foul Fatale.
I like
that's
that.
the name.
Yeah.
Clark, congratulations.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the little one. She will be an athlete. My wife is a very good athlete, so she'll be athletic. What sport she's going to play, we don't know, but it'll be something.
Juju Watkins is great. Foul Fatale is going to be the best. For Tarek, I'm Randy. We'll see you next Thursday night at 9 o'clock right here on SoCal Prep Report. Good night, everybody. She's going to be the best.